Well, after months of criticism for not putting his policies on paper, President Obama is promising to hand Congress a detailed plan to get the economy back on track. Only we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see it.
I'll be putting forward, when they come back in September, a very specific plan to boost the economy, to create jobs, and to control our deficit. And my attitude is, get it done.
September? With so many of us unemployed and the national deficit rising by the second, what's wrong with right now? Joining us now, Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Hey, Grover, why are we waiting? Doesn't he already have these ideas in hand? I mean, are we reinventing the wheel? What's going on?
You remember Richard Nixon's secret plan to end the war in Vietnam? He ran the entire campaign in 1968 with a secret plan. Obama's had a secret plan to create jobs. He's been sitting on it for 3 years now.
It's really secret. All right,
a very big secret.
Let's talk about some of the things that might be a part of this. The president's talked a lot about the payroll tax, and they might extend the payroll tax break we've been getting. And, you know, I mean, the irony of this, of course, is once that thing goes away, people are going to be really angry because they'll be getting less in their take-home paycheck. But should this be extended? Does it make sense to do that?
If you were trying to taxes to stimulate economic growth, there are other tax rates that I think would make sense to reduce. We need to reduce the corporate capital gains tax, which is 35%. It needs to go to 15%, like the individual capital gains tax. Our corporate tax rate at 35 is 10 points above the European average. That's just destructive of economic growth. We need to go to a territorial tax system. There are lots of things we need to do to reduce the tax burden, but if the president would simply stop printing regulations, it would reduce a lot of the damage that he's done to the economy already.
Well, you know, he talks about revenue raisers. And are any of those taxes, are any of those something that you would consider endorsing?
Of course not. The president has spent the country into a difficult position. He's increased spending from 20% of the GDP up to 25%. Raising taxes does not solve the problem he's created. It would enable the problem he's created. It's like giving liquor to an alcoholic. It doesn't solve the problem. It exacerbates the problem. We need to get the president to spend less.
All right. I want to get you in on this battle of the billionaires talking about tax policy, and that's Warren Buffett and Michael Bloomberg here in New York. I'm going to read you two statements from them. The first from Warren Buffett. He says, "My friends and I have been coddled long enough by a billionaire-friendly Congress. It's time for our government to get serious about shared sacrifice. Most wouldn't mind being told to pay more in taxes, particularly when so many of their fellow citizens are truly suffering." And then on the other side of the coin is Michael Bloomberg, and here's what he says. "If you want to raise taxes, don't pick one class of people and say, I think they have too much money, or I don't think they have enough money, or whatever. Raise everybody's taxes, 1 or 2%, or whatever." What do you say to that?
Well, it's interesting what Buffett is putting forward. If Warren Buffett pay more in taxes, nothing stops him. He could write a check today, okay? So what he's doing is doing moral preening. Oh, I'd be willing to pay more. Really? Then write the check. What are you talking about? He's just a hypocrite. You can actually go to
treasury.gov. There's an address. You can send the, if you feel compelled tonight to send Uncle Sam more money, there it is. You go right to that website, treasury.gov, and you can mail it tonight and get that, that worry off of your mind right away.
Yeah. A number, 6 states have Tax Me More funds. I think Arkansas, with Governor Huckabee, was one of the first to do that. So not if Warren Buffett would like to pay additional money to the state of Arkansas or Massachusetts, that's possible as well.
All right, the president speaking on taxing millionaires, he had something interesting to say. I want you to hear this.
I put a deal before the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, that would have solved this problem. And he walked away because his belief was we can't ask anything of millionaires and billionaires and big corporations in order to close our deficit.
Well, should the wealthy pay more? They make more? How do you respond?
Look, the president spends too much money. The only way to solve too much spending is to spend less. The president's trying to distract the American people from his failure in allowing spending to run up by saying that the peasants needs to send more money in because the king has bought too many palaces. He's spending too much money. He should stop spending money, and he should leave the rest of us out of it. It's not our job to pay for government as big as Obama can imagine in his dreams.
Well, you always have the good metaphors, Grover. You got to come back in September when the president does release his plan, okay?
Yeah, I'd love to see it in writing. In writing,
okay.
Mr. President.
Well,
Finally.
Right. We'll do what we can, okay? Thanks a bunch, Grover.